So maybe it's in order to repeat, speaking about something that I've said many times during the last couple of months, and this was actually the real pretext of my arrest almost a year ago. And I should repeat it because I mean now I get all sort of, I don't know why. I mean I think I understand why. But I recently I received many messages, I mean, on the lines of like, I mean, okay, so you have a tremendous amount of tea at your possession, and we understand that it's actually yours, and you did not stole it somehow, or you're not faking it, or whatever. And we understand that you are not a clone of yourself, which is, by the way, I mean, like, I must say, I must make a pause right now and say that, I mean, you know, the whole issue of like, I mean, whether I am me or a clone, I mean, it's like a main motive like of my life. Like, I mean, for so many years that and actually even before what I call the discovery journey, during 2007, already during I mean, because many times I say that I started this journey during May 2019, and this is correct, because that's when I reached a conclusion. Okay, the intelligence services of Israel are following me, and I mean, no one. I mean, I'm like I'm in the middle of a conspiracy, so I need to find out what's going on. But I should say that this, I mean, at least this happened. I mean, following at least 2 years that. I mean, many kind of a curious thing happened like all around me, and during the years that 2017 and 2018, many weird things already happened, and I kind of like, I mean, gradually came to suspect that something grand is going on around me without my knowledge. So it wasn't like, I mean, you know, and of course that. Like much earlier throughout like decades of my life, I mean, many times there were a lot of like I call it in Hebrew tzrimot, like I mean, like all sorts of like, I mean, you know, like a music record that is squeaking, which is like, I mean, all because everybody around me are to some extent are players, including of course my family and so-called friends and colleagues. So are actors, so and sometimes they were I mean, throughout the life, I mean, they were squeaking, you know, because they're not like perfect actors. So sometimes the show is doesn't like play. Now when it happens, it's kind of a torture for the target, because it's not that they can tell, like it's not that they can say, okay, pause. I mean, I understand that this is a game, a show. Tell me the truth. No, you cannot do it. I mean, if you do it, I mean, at best, I mean, people will just ignore you, and at worst, people will put you in mental asylum, which eventually happened to me. You cannot, like, I mean, tell them, okay, I understand that you are a Shabaknik, this is a game. You don't have this option that, I mean, to catch them, like, you know, when their game is, like, I mean, doesn't make sense, and to tell them, okay, it doesn't make sense, stop now, stop this train of, I mean, and let me get out, or you cannot say it. You don't have this option. So when the play, when the act of the intelligence actors around you is not perfect, it's not something that is bad for them. They don't care. They don't give a shit. It's something that is bad for you, the target. The target suffers immensely because of that, because they understand that. I mean, that their life is. I mean, they don't. I mean, it's like they don't understand the complete picture, but they understand that, I mean, people are relying to them in a grand scale, but they can't do anything. There is nothing that they can do about it. They can't, I mean, it's not like a show that, I mean, that if it's kind of like, I mean, it messes up, I mean, so the actors, I mean, you know, are kind of like need to retreat because, I mean, because the target, like, I mean, the target of the show, I mean, understand that this is a show, so now, I mean, everything is lost from there. No, they just continue the show and you have nothing to do besides live with. It's like, I mean, It's some kind of like, I mean, it's a great violence that you are subjected to, because I mean, you understand that people are lying to you, but you understand that nothing that you can do about it. And such thing happened to me throughout my life. It's not something that started in 2019. It's something that happened to me all through my life, and this leaves like, I mean, heavy marks on you because you gradually, I mean, every time that it happens, I mean, and it has to happen because, I mean, they are around you all your life, and this is your parents, your brother, your so-called friends, your colleagues. They are all like that. You're always surrounded by intelligent cells, and and even if they have like a good, like, act, I mean, it's not perfect. So and with age, I mean, you become smarter and more experienced, and you understand life better. So with age, I mean, you are better at identifying these squeaks, and it only makes you more miserable because each squeak, I mean, there is nothing you can do, nothing. I mean, whatever you will say or will do, I mean, will only make your situation worse. Will only be used against you. Will only, I mean, subject to much more violence of the state. You must play the game. You must be part of the show. And this is also, I mean, such a thing is going on right now. For example, like, I mean, my lawyer that is keep like trying to catch me, and I mean, telling the Andre, like the manager here in the hostel, like, I mean, why am I not calling him? I am not calling him because I am done with playing the game. The game is over. The theater is closed. No theater. I do not care at all about lawyers, about judges, about social workers. If you want to put me in prison, go do it. Take me, I mean, put me in prison. You know very well that nobody in the intelligence communities of this world, including tremendous amount of politicians, will ever be able to take a shit without surgical intervention once this happens. You know it. Still, there is a good chance that it will happen. Why? Because human is an animal that is controlled by a horrible bacteria that is called the ego. The bacteria that is going to destroy humanity. Humanity is dealing with this bacteria since prehistory. But now it seems that this worldwide pandemic is going to finally kill all humans. The bacteria of ego. That's why my estimation is that it's like 50-50, yes. Like, I mean, there is a very good chance that you will actually bring cops here to take me forcibly to jail. And no politician and no one in the intelligence services of this world will ever be able to take a shit without surgical intervention. Ever. And you know it. But still, I estimate about like 50% probability that it's going to happen. Well, you know it because of ego. But I am not going to play the game. I'm done. The theater is closed. No more theater shows of any kind. But this situation that you are forced to play the game because otherwise a great violence will be inflicted upon you, this is the story of my life since way before 2019. I'm used to it since I was a child. And it's only got worse because with time, you learn you understand reality better and better. So you identify these squeaks in the game. This kind of all sort of situation where people do not act in accordance to what to any kind of not only the rational interest, but also to any kind of emotional or because humans are not always rational. You don't expect them to always act rationally, of course, but even when humans are acting in irrational way, it's got some kind of explanation, psychological or medical or thing like that. But sometimes, there are squeaks, like when people act with not in accordance to anything, any way you can explain it, even taking into account the realm of neurosis and the realm of ego and the realm of religious, problems, and because it's an act, and they just they don't. It's not always they don't play it. Like the act is not perfect. And this situation, it happened to me throughout my life, and every time it happens, it leaves a mark on you. It's like something that you carry. It's like a small trauma it's like a bag of small traumas that you carry with you. And this happened to me all around my life, but during the years 2017 and during 2018, it was I I was aware of this, that it happens. I mean, it happens. I mean, even if you're not, I mean, you don't need to be aware of it in order for it to happen, because, I mean, you don't have any other, until you admit, like, you know, until you, I mean, you openly, I mean, say, yes, I am in the middle of a conspiracy, and you are not, like, afraid to place yourself in the realm of, like, you know, of the mentally insane. Until then, while you try to act like in a normative way, mostly these quicks, I mean, you have nothing to do about it. Like, I mean, you just, I mean, carry it with you as small traumas. But during 2017 to 2018, I came to understand that something is specifically peculiar is going on around me. So these were, I mean, 2 years that, I mean, were prior to what I call my discovery journey, but greatly affected it. And they, I mean, and one of, I mean, the characteristics of these years is that I spoke about it with people around me, because, I mean, I still did not understand this is like, I mean, this is actually a conspiracy. So I spoke about it like with my brother Uri and my friend like Ezra at the time, and I mean, it was something that I spoke about with people. Like, I mean, when I actually came to the conclusion during May 2019 that something, I mean, that this is actually a conspiracy, I stopped speaking about it with anyone. I mean, I just started blogging, you know, like this, and speaking like in this channel. But I stopped speaking with people because I understood that if anyone that of my friends or colleagues or family would have wanted like to come clean and help me, they would have done it a long ago. I mean, the fact that they didn't is because they are all part of the game. It's like the Truman Show. And that I will get nothing like from speaking to them openly. Only, I mean, another, like, I mean, you know, witness to this, like, to the general psychiatrist to place me, like, you know, in mental asylum, which eventually happened. But before that, I actually spoke about it with people, like, I mean, because I still didn't understand, like, the severity of the situation. And one of the things that came to my understanding during 2018 was the fact that many times I walk to all sorts of places and people take fingerprints for me. And I understood that there is, like, I have at least one clone. This actually was happened before 2019, and I wrote about it in the past and spoke about it. So, I mean, this kind of understanding that there is a clone, at least one clone of myself, and that I'm always suspected to be a clone, I mean, was actually something that I started in 2018, and it's always, I mean, something that is evident in my life. I mean, but with time, I understood, I mean, and this actually, I mean, only in the last couple of years, like 2 years or so, it became clear to me that what's going on is kind of a sick charade, like an interplay of perverts between the Israeli intelligence and other bodies of intelligence in the world. Because what's actually going on is that the Israelis never really try to understand whether I'm clone or not. They don't really care. What they always want to do, and this is true to the last days, and it was like that 5 years ago, and it's always true, and it's still true, like at any given moment, from the sick perspective of people abroad, a main purpose of the intelligence self that is currently around me is to be able to identify whether I'm clone or not. This is ridiculous because the people around me right now, I don't know their names and they know nothing about me, and they are cockroaches near me. We have nothing in common. We have in common, like, I mean, like the same way that the zebra have in common with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Less than that. Maybe a zebra and a transformer like Optimus Prime. This is reality. What? Should I lie to you? The whole idea that these people can say that the differentiate whether I'm not clone or not is laughable. They don't know nothing about me. I never speak to them. I don't know their names. But this is always, I mean, the objective or main objective of the cell from the point of view of the foreign intelligence services. But it's much more ridiculous than that, because from the Israeli point of view, the main purpose of the cell is to prove that I am actually clone. They don't care at all whether I'm clone or not, because from the Israeli perspective, there is no positive difference between a clone and the original. They cannot tell what is actually the original. From their purpose, every person that lives in this room and paints causes magical effects in this world. If I stand right here and create miracles that are evident to the intelligent persons in this world, it doesn't mean that I'm not a clone, because from their perspective, I live in this room, and this is the magic room. I paint, and I mean, anybody can paint like that, presumably, because I mean, it's not that difficult. And this creates the magic. So, seeing miracles is not a proof that I am not a clone. So you can ask, so what is actually proof that I'm not a clone? And the answer is simple. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. There is absolutely no difference between a clone and the original from the perspective of the Israelis. So you ask, so what does it mean that the people, that you said that their purpose of the cell is to prove that I'm a clone? So what does it mean that to prove that I'm a clone if there is no difference between the clone and the original? And the answer is simple. When I say that they need to prove that I'm a clone, what I mean is they need to say it, to tell it to the people of the other intelligence services. By proving, what they really mean is repeatedly saying something. Because this is the ultimate way to prove things as far as the Israeli intelligence go. If you say it enough times, it's a proof that this is correct. So they say it again and again. And even in the last couple of days, they keep saying, yes, CIA, yes, MI6, yes, KGB, this is a clone, this is a clone, this is a clone, a million times, because that's the way to prove that it's a clone. No matter that you see miracles before your eyes, if this bunch of pedophile microbes will say, this is a clone, enough times, then it's a proof that this is a clone. And if the people abroad would not believe it, it's only their problem. I mean, they close their eyes to an evident reality. I mean, it was manifestly true that this is a clone. Look how many times the bunch of pedophile microbes have said so. It's a positive proof. This is a clone. And this sick game is being played by the intelligence services of this world for many, many years. Of course, this cell is kind of like, I mean, you know, it's the gutters of the gutters. Because obviously, I mean, this is it is supposed to be a hostel for homeless people. I mean, and you cannot bring like professor level people of the Shabak, and they have some of these, to homeless for hostel people. I mean, there is some kind of a match between the quality of the actual people and the act. Some kind of a connection exists. It's not like, I mean, you know, and this is different from Hollywood. Like in Hollywood, every character, every actor can presumably play any game. But in real life, like in real life acting of intelligence services, there should be some kind of match. I mean, sometimes, I mean, they play things that are completely out of their normal life, and this is actually evident, and it creates all sorts of squeaks. For example, a person that is known to be a commander of a military unit might play the game as a manager in a high-tech company, which is completely out of like, I mean, a regular life, and this will actually create many squeaks, and will be a very, very, I mean, important factor of why the whole game, I mean, was terminated very quickly and exposed a ton of secrets to the target. But usually they don't do it, and even that, I mean, even such a mismatch between the actor and the game is still much smaller than if you like bring a professor to a homeless to a hostel of homeless people. I mean, there is more, I mean, in common between like a commander, like, I mean, in the military unit, and a manager in high-tech company. I mean, they are still much more similar than, I mean, a professor and a typical person like in a hostel for homeless people. So, I mean, once you degraded me enough, and I mean, this after years of torture, I mean, they successfully, I mean, after so much state terrorism, they successfully degraded me, the target, to such a situation that I'm in the homeless for hostel people. I mean, after so many cruelties and abuse, yes, so they placed me here. But I mean, what kind of players can they bring here to this cell? They can't bring their professor level players, even though they have some. Not many, but they have some. But I mean, would they agree to live like, I mean, in this trash can? Of course they would not. So they are very limited. And they can't even, like, so I mean, You know, even like much smaller mismatches, like what I've said regarding a commander in the military unit and the manager in the IT company, even this mismatch, I mean, was terrible from their perspective, whether they know it or not. Was terrible from the secret, like, I mean, security perspective. So I mean, what kind of player can they bring? So the answer is millions, because I mean most of their players are shit people. But I mean, what will I have in common with these people? Nothing. Nothing at all. But even before that, I mean, my life, I was always surrounded by intelligence cells, and like sometimes actually these people have much more in common, I mean, with me than right now. So that's why, I mean, I was much more in contact with, I mean, I had friends in the past. I mean, I spoke to people, and it was always intelligence cells. But I mean, but what was always true, and it's true to this moment, is that there is a great mismatch between even the conceptualization of the purpose of the cells between people abroad and here. Because abroad people think, okay, we need to see if it's like real or not, and here people say this question is meaningless. We just need to say that he is fake enough time until they will be convinced. Because from the Israeli perspective, there is absolutely nothing tangible in reality, nothing that determines whether I am real or clone. It doesn't matter how I speak, it doesn't matter how I look, it doesn't matter miracles that take place around me, it doesn't matter. There is no biological, test that can say if nothing in this world can identify me as the real thing. Nothing at all. It's just a matter of what people say, and of course they want me to be a clone because presumably if I'm a clone, they can torture me. By the way, it's a question that I've raised it since long ago. Why is it so evident from the perspective of people abroad that if I'm a clone, it's okay to torture me? Like, okay, so let's say that I'm a clone, like, so is it now okay to torture me? It's still an open question, and I've raised it years ago, like maybe a year ago, a year and a half, that I mean, because the implication is that if he's the son of God, then maybe we should not torture him so much. But if he's a clone of the son of God, then, but he speaks just like the son of God and he's doing miracles just like the son of God, but he's actually a clone of the son of God, then maybe we need to torture him just a little less. Like, that's the agenda of the CIA. If you still do not understand why the Cherubs will utterly destroy the United States of America without mercy, if you still ask yourself, are we that bad? What do we think good things about ourselves? So this is the answer. They will never forgive you. Never forgive you. They will never forgive you. What you've done is not a sin or a mistake of this person or another. What you've done is a political agenda that lasted decades, and they will never forgive you. Never. Nothing that you can do will change the situation. The United States will be destroyed by forces beyond your imagination. This will happen throughout years. They will never forgive you, and they have memory that you cannot even comprehend because they live much longer than you, and you don't think like the way they think. Again, I would say the third time, from their perspective, a murder of a child 70 years ago is like something that happened, and a murder of a Titan child 70 years ago and cannibalizing their body is something from their perspective that happened this morning, and they just heard it on the news, and they are irritated and angry, like imagine that you've heard about such thing that happened like in New York this morning in the news. That's how they feel. Yes, they have feeling. Yes, they are not Spock from Vulcan Spock without emotion. No, they have feelings, and their feelings is just like your feelings when you just heard that a child was kidnapped in New York and people cannibalized him and ate him. If it happened during 1951, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's just like now for their perspective. And the people to blame are the Americans, the United States of America. So back to the clone issue. This is the situation. This is the situation regarding the clone. I am always stuck in a sick game where, from the point of view of the Israelis, there is nothing that can be done. Even theoretically so, no miracle that they will see will prove that I'm not a clone. Nothing. And yet the game continues because people abroad, it's always in their main interest to understand whether this guy is a clone or not. Because maybe he's a clone, and then, I mean, it's okay to crucify him for some reason that I still do not understand. Like, who are these people that supply the raw materials for the clones? At once I thought that these are Titans, but if they are, because the Titans have the shape-shifting ability, but first of all, it is easy to know if a person is a Titan or not. There are so many biological, ways to do it. Why is it such a big deal to know if I'm a Titan or not? I'm not a Titan. It is manifestly true. There are so many ways to do it. You don't need to be like, the high-tech, company or, intelligence service of a modern state, let alone a strong state. Every person can conduct a biological experiment to see if this person is a Titan or not. And second, let's say that I'm a Titan. Why is it okay to torture Titans and crucify them, and to do everything that, to electrocuting? Why? Even if they are criminals, so, judge the person and put him in jail. Like, why is it that Titans in this world, can be subjected to any kind of cruelty, and the only kind of thing that might protect them is if they are also the son of God. But there is no way to prove that they are the son of God, because there is actually nothing that, presumably there is nothing in the world that proves that you are actually him, even though for some reasons, all the intelligence services of this world, including the Israelis, agree that this mythological creature, the son of God, actually not only exists, but existed until very lately in Israel. Because otherwise, what's, the ball game here? Like, what game are they playing? Some kind of events in recent history convinced everybody, including the Israelis, that yes, the Son of God was reincarnated in Israel. Because if they do not agree on that fact, what game do they play? So they agree on that. Something happened, during the last couple of decades that made them agree on that. Yes. But interestingly, they have no way to prove, to identify this person. No way at all. Even if this person is, have a completely normal life and is not secret person and is not involved with anything shady and is like always, and he speaks, very well and happily to do it. He's not, he's not ashamed or shy of anything at all. And he posts in social networks every day throughout many years, even before the discovery journey. I wrote stuff, and all my life I liked writing, and I posted in social networks and all sorts of other social, like all sorts of stages. Like I have like a long history. Since I was a child, like I like to write, and of course I read a lot and speak. So, but even if if he's the most open person, that speaks and writes and he has like a normative life and people know him, for some reason it's impossible. It's just positively impossible to say if he's like that guy or not. Even though you all agree that this guy actually existed, not long ago in Israel. And this is the sick game that that goes on, that's played like surrounding my life until today. This is still like that. It's still the main objective of these, pedophile zombies, outside this door, is to be able to say in time whether the question will be raised, whether this is a clone or not. And the chances that they will say that it's not a clone are zero. They will say that it's a clone because it was always their answer, all decades that this is their answer. It's their only answer. Because from their perspective, there is nothing. It's not only that they know nothing about me. So they have no parameter to judge. But even if they were my father and mother, they would still say that this is a clone, because they are also part of the Israeli intelligence, and everybody in the intelligence the Israeli intelligence serves the purposes of the Israeli intelligence. They are. This is a totalitarian society. They are all robots, and the purpose is very simple. The purpose is to say that this is a clone, So they will all say that I'm a clone. Even if they were my mother and father, the answer would have been that this is a clone. But for some reason, the game still played. An international game of unbelievable ridiculousness. Now, so as early as 2018, I understood that people are taking my fingerprints. Now, the process for this arrest, I will remind you what it was very clear, because like about a year ago, it was already after like close to a year that I painted it. I had sculptures, and I wanted to sell it because I needed money. I had no money at all. I lived at the time in my mother's apartment. It was even before the arrest, because I had no money. Like after 4 years of like that I lived in Shoam, like in my own apartment, rented apartment, I had to move to my mother's apartment. And at the time I still raised my children like in joint custody from my mother. They had a room in my mother's apartment, my 2 daughters. But I wanted, to rent an apartment again, like not to live there. Of course, and I need money, and I understood that I cannot be I cannot get any job. Of course, I'm a software engineer, and I have tremendous experience and education on them. I know BSc in computer science and military experience, but I understood that I will never be able to get a job in this country that is not a prostitute. This was clear after the thing that I went through in the last job in IT company. I understood very well that they want me to be a prostitute. This is my job from the point of view of the state of Israel, and they will never allow me to be anything else. That from their perspective, I'm a prostitute. I must be a prostitute. And the best kind of terms that I can negotiate with them, and even that after a lot of effort. The best case scenario, if I want to be a salaryman, want to get a job here, the absolute best that I can hope for in Israel, if I will insist on it and be very stubborn, the best case is after much negotiation and is that maybe I will be able, they will let me be prostitute only for women and not also for men, because from their point of view it should be both for men and women, even though I'm heterosexual. They don't care. But I understood that if I really fight it hard, they might allow me to be prostitute only for women and not for men. This is the best thing that I can hope for in Israel. And I decided that I am not a prostitute, not for men and not for women. I'm absolutely not going to be a prostitute. I've never been a prostitute, and I'm not going to be a prostitute. This is not going to happen. So I thought, okay, so the other options to make money, besides being a salaryman, a higher person, is to sell stuff. And I had already created sculptures and paintings, and I thought to myself, now I didn't know at the time that actually these paintings, they are all, that they are all, that they have, I thought that they are valued because, I created them. So it's kind of and of course, the actual person that creates the stuff, makes it valuable because it's rare and because of my special nature. What I didn't know, but proven later, that every painting is actually an alien life container. Because all of these paintings that are made of acrylic and oil contains millions of robots and alien life forms living inside the oil and the acrylic. This was proven in this channel in a series of 13 videos that microscopic examinations. I didn't know it back then, but now I know it. I also saw that and the sculptures are always they had robots in them, because I always place samples of my semen in these sculptures, because I understood that there was a lot of money because the people of Israel always decided to steal it from me. But regarding the sculptures, it was more of a question how to sell it, and I spoke about it in the Twitter channel. That I remember that I devised all sorts of way to create sculptures that are modular, so they will be able to because heavy sculptures is something that is heavy to. So anyway, this was a whole issue. But I understood very well that in Israel I would not be able to sell nothing at all, nothing, because the people, the Shabak would not allow me, and I live in a cell. Even if I'm not under arrest, the communication is always, monitored by the Shabak, and you know it very well. And I understood it back in the day. So I thought to myself, okay, the only option is to go outside of Israel and to take things with me, and then try to sell it outside of Israel. I didn't have a password, so I asked. I asked for. So I went to the Ministry of Interior to get a passport, and after 3 weeks, I actually received it. And 2 days later, I was arrested, and until now, I'm under arrest. Like 2 days after I received the passport issued and I received it, I was arrested, and until now, I'm under arrest. This was the pretext for my arrest because they don't want me to sell stuff abroad, and in Israel, it will only be under their command. So just to say, now I receive all sorts of like messages from very smart people in various intelligence services all around the world that say, we actually do believe that you have a tremendous amount of the tea, and we actually do believe that you are not a clone, and we actually do believe that you produced it yourself and it's yours. By the way, why do you believe it now? I mean, you have research diary of, exquisite, detail of how it was created for almost a year. 1,300 videos, most of them regarding how actually the tea is created in this room, and before that in my mother's apartment room when I was under arrest. With hundreds of hours of microscopic examination. I don't say that this research is done in the standards of modern research in universities, simply because of the fact that I don't have the required background. I have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Sciences and the Humanities, but not in these subjects, and certainly not the graduate level degree. But I would say that no modern research is done with higher level of documentation, and certainly not from the public perspective. Where every theory I document, every falsification of theory I document, I upload to YouTube. Every step in the microscopic, in the microscopic and non-microscopic, laboratory experiment, it's all uploaded to YouTube. So what happened now after a year of detailed documentation? They actually convinced the smart people of abroad that this is actually genuinely a person that creates a tea in his room. Of course, what happened is that they now have other kind of scientific evidence that convince them. In addition to this scientific evidence, the whole picture is now much clearer. So you ask, so what is the new scientific evidence that finally convinced them? Is it another microscopic examination? Not exactly. It's a telescopic examination, not a microscopic. Because this is humans. They need both the microscopic evidence and the telescopic evidence in order to be convinced. And what does the telescopic evidence convince them? It convinces them that soon the maps of the United States will need to be very, very different. Because these are humans. Until they see the hammer going to crush their face, they are not convinced. Humans have not advanced in 1 millimeter in the last million years. You are the same Paleolithic people. If you need to be convinced, you need a hammer that is big enough. And the bigger you are, the bigger hammer you need in order to be convinced. Your convictions are only dictated by how big the hammer that you see looming above your head. These are humans. This is not Israelis. No. These are humans. This is not even Americans. The most, of course, I hate is the Israelis, and shortly after that the Americans. But what I now said is true to every Homo sapiens. For you, truth and power are utterly the same thing. There is nothing in your worldview that differentiate between power and truth. Power and truth is just the same. Just the same. And what you call justice is nothing but the interest of the stronger side, as famously said by Tarsi Machos. This is it. These are humans. So now these smart people are saying, okay, so sell the stuff, we would like to buy it from you. Why do you humiliate me like that? Not enough humiliation have I suffered from you? Please stop the humiliation. It's impossible to sell it. That is why I'm under arrest. In Israel, it's utterly impossible to do it because every line of communication is controlled by the government, and they cannot even go outside the room without being arrested. I already understood it a year ago, even before I was arrested. And I cannot go. And when I try to leave Israel, not permanently, of course, I have daughters here. I cannot live, without them. But just for selling stuff outside, I was arrested. I'm still under arrest just for that. That was the reason for this arrest. The reason for this arrest is just that. So I will not be able to sell this stuff. So now you tell me, please sell the stuff? Why do you keep humiliating me? I cannot sell the stuff to people abroad. This is the reason for the arrest. This is exactly it. And this is documented very well in Twitter. I tweeted almost every day before this, in the months before this arrest. And the whole story is, I shared my assaults, and you can watch the painting and the sculptures, and I shared everything that happened to me up to the arrest, because after the arrest, I'm no longer allowed by law to tweet more. I'm like, by court order, I cannot use Twitter. But until the arrest, every day, I shared my thoughts. It's very simple. In Israel, it's impossible to sell it, and when I tried to sell it abroad, I was arrested, and I'm still under arrest. Like, it's almost a year after that, even though I've done nothing. So please don't humiliate me, okay? And also, don't humiliate yourself. Don't humiliate yourself. You will never get this tea. What's going to happen is very simple, and I've already said what's going to happen. Soon there will be no more state of Israel, because of the, not as a punishment. The punishment will be inflicted on all humanity, simply because I need a place to live. Simply because I need a place to live. I need a place to be where I'm not poisoned all the time, tortured all the time, where I'm not subject to electricity attack, poison attacks. I need a place to breathe. I need to be able to breathe without being tortured. I need a place to stay without being threatened in violence all the time. And no one, abroad, agreed to give shelter to me and my daughters. I asked, for years that I'm asking it, and you refused. So, there is a point when you change, your agenda, and this is what happened to me, in the last couple of weeks, and well documented, where I came to the conclusion that there is no place for me and my daughters outside of Israel. So, by default, I must stay here. So I'm going to stay right here. But of course, there is the question of how can you live among millions of predators? And the answer is very simple. There will be no predators, zero predators very soon. Zero. There will be nobody in Israel. This will be an empty state. 0 and above, ages 0 and above. No more predators in Israel, ages 0 and above. And then I will have a place to live without poisoning, without electricity attacks, without sound attacks, without threatening my life from violence, and without lawyers that keep forcing me to play a game where I'm supposedly a civilian under a fair judicial system. No. There will be none of these. There will be an empty state, so I will be able to breathe and drink water and eat food and go to sleep without being under threat. This is the reason why very soon there will be no Israelis at all. Zero. Exactly zero. Not as a punishment for the crimes that they did, because they did not do the crimes themselves. Humanity have done the crimes, and humanity will pay. Tremendously so. They will be annihilated in the next couple of days, not as a punishment for their actions, but because I need a place to live. I need a place to be. God wants me to live, and I need a place to live. Where will I live? Nobody abroad wants me, so I need to be here. And here, this place, is full of predators. So the predators will be cleaned in the next couple of days. There will be no more predators, and then I will be able to breathe and to drink water and to go to sleep without being under constant threat. And then there will be a new state here, Titanland. I don't know who will be will inhabit this land. Most certainly me and my daughters, but maybe other people as well. Certainly not Homo sapienses, because the radiation will be unbearable. But whoever there will be, my plan is that this will be self-sustained state. We do not mean to rely on shipments of food and manufacturing goods from China and United States like the former historical state of Israel. No, we will actually work for our sustenance, not in subjugating other people, in threatening other people and violent. No. We will not be pirates. We will be actual people that work for their living. And in order to do that, billions of microscopic robots with amazing capabilities will help us a lot. We will need it in order to start agriculture, to start manufacturing. We will need these robots. So no, I'm not going to sell these robots. They will be used by the people of Titanland, so they will be able to produce the food and goods that are required in order to live. And this will be done as soon as the place will be clean of predators, which will be very soon. Very, very soon.